Welcome to the Chuck Graham Show this morning. I know, sound like a Baptist preacher, right? I wanted to let everybody know I take pride in this. I don't edit these shows. It's all one take. It's all my rant from just comes through the back of my head and straight out my mouth. And I try to perfect that because it helps with speaking. Like if you're in public and you're speaking. I remember one time I choked. Oh, that was awful. Oh, that was awful. Train of thought left. Everybody's sitting there going, "Oh God, this is a YouTube moment. This is a teaching moment. Oh shit." Anyway, I swore that would never happen again. But I don't really have talking points. I do if I'm publicly speaking or something. I make sure that I do. Now, if it's a question and answer session, which may come up later, that might change. I don't know. But I was talking to this one is going to be YouTube friendly. I hope, unless YouTube has lost its damn mind. Well, it has. But we have what I believe. Now, this is strictly my opinion. You can take it for what it is. It'll buy you. Well, it won't buy you shit. My opinion won't buy you anything. But my opinion in all this, when it comes to all the recommendations of the CDC and all that, I was watching Jim Jordan yesterday, congressman from Ohio, and he said it right. They've been wrong every time. So when do we stop believing what the officials say? Well, I had a long time ago, which I never believed the government, and I'll say what I said yesterday. It takes a lot for me to believe anything that comes out of officials' mouths, especially if you're dealing with public officials that chose to go to work for the public rather than in the private sector, which kind of is a red flag to me anyway. Meaning, I guess they don't like money or they're making a hell of a lot in it while they're in office. And if you're like Nancy Pelosi, you can insider trade stock and it's legal, except if me or you or Martha Stewart does it. Then we go to jail. Well, not for trading stocks, but lying to the FBI. That's why I say, and I quote, Ohio v. Rayner, and I'm paraphrasing, the Fifth Amendment's basic function is so that innocent men don't get ensnared by ambiguous circumstances. In other words, the Fifth Amendment has a bad rap. Shut the fuck up if you're contacted by law enforcement. That's just the way it is. Nothing you say is going to help you. However, and if it's the feds, you can go to jail for, lying, which that should be repealed. I understand. And it's a broad, I looked at the statute. It's not just the feds. It's a broad statute, right? It should exclude law enforcement. They can lie to your ass. They can tell you all kinds of things that they got on you that they don't have. And it's perfectly legal. Well, if it's legal for them to lie to you, it ought to be legal for you to lie to them. But the best thing to do is shut the hell up. Because if you don't say anything, they can't misrepresent what you do say. So anyway, with that said, and with the fact that, yes, I don't trust the government as far as I can throw it in most instances, we got some local shit going on around here as far as masks and all that nonsense. But the fact is, this is a very, very highly contagious virus. Omicron, it's really, really, really contagious, but it's not really, really, really deadly from what's being reported. So I'll tell you, I think we're all going to get it, my fat ass included. So buck up, buttercup, because I think it's coming. But the fact of the matter is I think there's a lot of disinformation. Here's what happens when you censor people, right? When you censor someone and you don't have dissenting opinions, which is perfectly normal in all other settings except YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, dissenting opinions help because I think people are smart enough to be able to go and look at different sources, take all that information, combine it together, and then make a rational decision. But what's really strange is they want to shut you down in your dissent And here's what's really even more strange. Come to find out, some of the videos that they took down of mine turned out to be correct. Sure did. Turned out to be correct. The Australian one they took down turned out to be correct. But they say that we don't, listen to this now, we don't allow information on our platforms that is inconsistent with the CDC and the WHO. Let me tell you something as a police officer. If I was to go out and I was to say, hey, John Smith, will you look over that fence right there and tell me if they're, cooking crack or cooking meth? Can you do that for me? You know what that would be? Inadmissible. Why? Because I am using my authority through proxying through that civilian that could look over the fence. Same as YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. The government is using these private companies to censor. When they say that they don't allow anything inconsistent with what the government says, and then you get emails from Zuckerberg and you get emails and you get all this information. Yeah. Here's what needs to happen to YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. They need to be deplatformed. As far as what I'm saying is they need to, 230 needs to be changed. It don't need to be eliminated. 230 is a good thing. But it should say that they are prohibited from taking down constitutionally protected speech. And it also should say that if there can only be one or two, they can either be an edited platform or a public square. They built their whole model on that they were a public square and that they weren't an edited platform. They weren't like the newspaper. That they were a non-biased where you could exchange ideas. Except, of course, if it comes to this pandemic. I would like to know the stock portfolio of Google, who owns YouTube. That would be interesting to see how much stock they have in Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, wouldn't it? What about Facebook? That'd be interesting too, wouldn't it? To see just how much stock and where they're financial and look at that financial statement. That'd be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? Leave it in the comments. I'm not telling anybody. I'm not anti anything, anti-vax, none of that. I'm not any of that. I'm an individual person that believes that you have individual rights, and I believe that you have the right to choose whatever the hell it is you choose, whether it be wrong or right. That's what needs to happen. But here's the thing, and I want to make this perfectly clear. They use conspiracy theory as if it's a dirty word. You can be charged with a crime, to conspiracy to commit a crime. It is the letter of the law. It's not a dirty word. Of course, conspiracy exists. But when you combine it with theory, ooh, he's one of those people. Well, like I said yesterday, if I would have told you that the CIA was going to detonate a bomb inside the United States and then blame it on Cuba so we could go to war with them back in the 60s, that JFK actually stopped, would you believe me? Or would you think I was a conspiracy nut? Probably think I'm a conspiracy nut back in the day. Turns out, true. MK Ultra, mind control experiments, LSD experiments, giving drugs to congressmen and stuff back in the day when these experiments were going on, and it was MK Ultra. MK Ultra covers a whole host of shit, but that was just some of it. If I'd have said that back in the day, well, you just said I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm a nut. Well, turns out it was true. So, yeah, that's what we should do. We should trust the government and everything that fucking implies. So, my point being is this. Make your own individual decisions. It's your life. Look at me. I'm probably 60 pounds overweight. And, but hey, whatever. But wouldn't it be fun to know how YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook would fare if they ripped that little section out of 230? See, because you got Mattal v. Tam, 0 to 9 opinion by the United States Supreme Court. Zero dissent. That hate speech is free speech. I'm not talking about fight words. I'm not talking about saying stuff to incite somebody to react. But really and truly, what is that? I mean, how can you control how someone reacts? Well, you can't really. And that shit with fight words and all that to me is just idiocy. And I know it's in the Supreme Court, unless it ever gets challenged again in our conservative one. I think that's just a idiotic thing to say. But my point is this. It would be interesting to see just how they would fare if you ripped that out and you took that protection away from them so that it could be litigated. In other words, if they took this video down right here without that in that thing, I could file suit against YouTube in the Southern District Federal Court, pay a $400 filing fee, and we go to town. I could do that pro se. I could have done it for the other videos. I wouldn't have won, and I know I wouldn't have won. Why? Because you have protections of 230 in there. They know this. They have the protections of 230, but they don't have the liability when they deplatform somebody that counts on that as their livelihood. Lucky I don't. I'm in a business that probably is never going to go away. So the fact of the matter is this. YouTube can kiss my ass. But the point being is as soon as they remove that, if they take down one of my videos, I will wrap their ass up in more litigation they can dig out in 2 years. And the reason is because I can. But I wouldn't win. There's no way to win it right now. No way. And the fact is this. They would probably flood my ass with motions and this and that and interrogatories and depositions and all that kind of shit and tie up a lot of my time too. So that shit works both ways, because they have a team of them fuckers that do nothing but just that. So, I say you talk kind of big doing that, but the reality of it is simple. That shit works both ways. And they have a hell of a lot more resources than I do. But it makes it a lot easier for you to find, even if you didn't do it yourself, to find attorneys that would take that on, law firms that would take that on because they could make money off of it. Because trust me, attorneys don't give a shit about nothing but money. And if they can't make money off of it, they don't want to do it. And that's just, you can stand up on your moral principles all day long, but when you're dealing with attorneys, money, that's it. If they can't make any money off of it, they don't want to do it. And sometimes you'll get an outlier that wants to do stuff for, principle. But that's rare. It's hard. I'll tell you what a good friend of mine and an attorney said, and he's an attorney in the military too. He said it's hard to find somebody to fight for you. It's really hard to find somebody to fight for you. So with that said, that's my rant for today. I think this thing's YouTube friendly. Maybe not. I don't know. Shit. I got one strike, get two. Well, hell, why not just three? Either way, I'm on Gab, Rumble. I'm on Locals. You can see me there. You can go to charlesgraham.com and see the podcast. They're not going to take that shit down. We host our own stuff. But the fact of the matter is this. It needs to be changed. And if the Republicans don't change it, we need to vote their ass out. Because if they take over in 2022, this needs to freaking change. They need to stop these platforms from deplatforming people because of their opinions. Dissent is a good thing, people. Flat earthers? I don't agree with them either, but they have a right to say it. And if you do agree with them, well, that says a lot about you. Bye-bye.